John Smith versus Sergei Beloglazov. In 1989, this is the World Grand Championships. I chose this because there's awesome hand ties, awesome hand fighting in this match. You can see right here he goes to the Russian, but he posts off his head. This is from my Wrestling for BJJ instructional. You can find it on wrestlingforbjj.com. Here I'm just showing what I do when somebody posts on my head from the Russian.
Pull them by. Now, a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll turn and they'll face you, and they post on your head. And when they do that, I can use this to post behind his elbow, here, lower my level, and enter the body lock the same way that we do it with the leg on the inside, not on the outside, right? Because now I can just, again, pivot on my ball on my foot and swing this out of the way. Here, and put him straight to his back and have a body lock. And it's uncomfortable when you land on the body lock, right? So here, pull him down, he faces me and posts on my head, body lock, here. Take right with back.
The other option is when I post, I can go right to the double leg. Now see, watch here when they're hand fighting. He's got good elbow control, so he does that high elbow, and then he goes straight to the Russian, but John already had him at a distance, so he was able to squirrel out. Another thing I want you to pay attention to is look at how many attacks these guys are firing off. I mean, they are not stalling at all. The game has changed a lot. People are a lot less aggressive than they used to be. I want to show you this, how he got to that Russian again, because it is ridiculously slick. Before that, though, let me show you this technique of how you pull to the mat. So what I'm showing here is that I'll pull him to the mat. That's my first move, because it'll create a lot of other opportunities depend on what he does. But if you do it right off the Russian and you get his weight coming forward, you can pull him by. And what I'm talking about here is I'm talking about clamping, because this is for folk style or for jiu-jitsu. It prevents him from getting his base back. Now watch this. See how he grabs the outside of that hand? I show that too good to the outside single on one of my videos online. But watch how he passes it off. So he passes it off to the other hand, and then he reaches up to the Russian. I thought that was super slick. I've never actually seen anybody do it that way. Right, so now he tries to pull him down. Watch, you'll see when he tries to pull him down, it doesn't work. Right, because John sees it coming, and so he drops his weight back when it happens. He still got him to his knees, but he didn't switch hands off under the armpit and clamp on him like I was showing in the video. Not that I'm better than these guys, because I'm certainly not. It's just this is high-level wrestling. It doesn't always work. A lot of elbow control. Okay, watch this elbow control. They really like the outside elbow because it takes away the collar tie to a certain degree. Now, I covered this concept on the instructional, and then this promotional video I'm talking about how, like, if I control his elbow, I essentially control his torso. And you'll see later that Beloglazov couldn't get to the ankle pick because of it. And people, like, online, some people freaked out. Were like, oh, watching BJJ guys wrestle is hilarious. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, yet this is fundamental. If you do it right, you can pass under, but John's just so good at dropping his head, dropping his hands. So John's got inside control with his right arm. Beloglazov has outside control, right? And this, I'm going to slow this down for you to show you how just absolutely beautiful that is and the timing. But first, I'll show you how I do the same thing. And then when I crack down, I hop all the way over to the other side, which is super useful in jiu-jitsu because then they can't guillotine choke you. So watch, I'm going to shoot in, and then I try to secure the ankle with my left hand, and I can't, so I just do the same grip that he does, right? The hand over the top. And then I'm going to hop over to the far side. I preferred that because it takes away his switch. And in jiu-jitsu, it takes away the choke. So watch this, right? He goes to both knees, and he gets in super deep. You see how he pulls that elbow by beautifully, right? And it's because his weight was coming forward. So now watch. Watch his hand grip. Okay, he's in the same grip that I had. In freestyle, okay, he's going to belly out. Guys in jiu-jitsu aren't going to belly out. They're going to try to choke you, so you're going to want to hop to the other side. And then he's going to do classic freestyle here, right? Trying to turn him with a gut wrench. And John had a nasty gut. He was very good at a gut wrench and very, very good at leg lacing. And he's got it here. But Beloglazov just has such good defense. And, you know, like judo, if nothing's happening, they're going to stand you back up to your feet in international wrestling, right? Whereas in American folk style, it just continues. Now, I'm not really sure why John shot from space there, but he got arm dragged. Okay, so look, he has both arms behind him, which is a bad position to be in. And then, so look, he drags, right, secures, and then he's going to go flat.
I can either go to an arm drag, where I drag his arm here, and same thing, I come into the inside here. Now, in this case, because my arm is occupied, instead of cutting across to the double, I'm going to come to the far knee, especially if I can, run it over, and I can actually either crush him, take his back. He's going to try to turn into me, of course, in jiu-jitsu.
People's reactions in different styles of wrestling and jiu-jitsu matter, right? Like in jiu-jitsu, the person's going to want to pull guard because they don't want you on the back. But in folk style, they're going to try to stand up and get out of there. And in freestyle, they're going to just try to belly out and not get turned. And Beloglazov and John were very tough on top. And believe me, there's a lot going on here that you can't see. And Beloglazov had an amazing career up to this point. This is sort of like a match where he came back. Okay, watch. See that elbow control again, right? And then he caught him pushing. It's so subtle, you know, and he's not going to stay there for long because he's going to give up back exposure. Watch this. Outside elbow pull, right? Push, pull, right? Boom. And see how he catches right behind the knee there? Look at that posture. It's just unreal. Then he grabs the outside of his hand, right? And then it's not muscle, okay? It's technique, strength. And then here, you know, you don't really want to do a switch too much like in freestyle. So he's posting on his hands. So back in those days, that would mean that, you know, you're not giving up back exposure. There's a Kimura there. I do it all the time at jiu-jitsu. But now he's almost going to give up the lace here. So he's got to be careful to not give up the leg lace. Because John was an expert at it. He could have ended the match right here. Because back in those days, you could have rolled as many times as you wanted. And they've changed those rules a million times. Like, you can only do it once. Now they're back to you can do it as many times as you want, which is stupid. Okay, so. But they've traded off. He's back in on it again. Look, see how he grabs the outside of his hand? And just makes it happen every time. Now he's going to threaten the arm there because if he rocks back, he'll put him on his back for more exposure points. But see, look, grabs the outside of his hand. Right here, see? And then drop his hip to the mat. Now, you can use this in jiu-jitsu. I do it, but I hop over immediately because look at how open your throat is, right? And then he can essentially pull half guard and try to choke you. So I don't play around when I get in this position. Different sports, but same techniques. Right, so he's going to bail out and see how he keeps that wrap so that he can try to use that gut wrench? Because you want to try to score immediately if you can, right? So trying to get a turn if you can. But you see, they didn't let him work too long. Say, all right, go back to your feet if you're not going to be able to turn him. Get some more action. So now John's going more inside control now because that helps block. But look at that, right? He likes that outside elbow pull. And because his elbow is still there, see, watch, I'll show it in slow-mo. When he shoots, okay, Beloglazov, because he has that outside elbow, he keeps it up high, and then that's effectively controlling his torso, okay? I'll talk about this on the instructionals. So look, see how he switched his hand from like a C grip to like a palm underneath that elbow so that he could never get his arm back. He couldn't finish the shot. Really high-level shit, man. Okay, he goes to the drag again. Dragged him right down. Right from a standing position. That was beautiful. And what they're doing right now is very sports-specific, like freestyle-specific, where John's just trying to weather the storm, not get turned. A lot like judo, right? Whereas if you don't get turned to the pinning situation or you don't get choked, right, then they just stand you back up. So this, like, a lot of this is not going to help you in jiu-jitsu. Now, what he was just doing with the arm behind the back will, and I cover that on my new instructional Rides Escapes. You'll be much better off learning Rides Escapes because I teach you all the folk style system for how to get off the bottom and how to keep people down, how to break them down, how to ride them, how to put their arms behind their back and that kind of stuff. So back to the feet here. John got a lot of reactions out of most people from there because they respected his low single game. I'll go through this again because there's a lot going on. Does an outside step, comes up to the waist, starts losing the takedown, drops back down to the single, does a pressure on the thigh move here, which I've showed before. Don't need to show it again. John circles away, goes back down a knee pull single, right? And then this time he tries to limp arm out, but John gets the underhook. So we got to break this down, right? So John fakes the shot and gets a reaction. Watch John's right hand. He comes under the elbow to go to the high C, which is pretty unique there. He gets stuffed. Right, Beloglazov circles and sprawls away, tries to control the far elbow. It's not there. And as they're coming up, he does an outside step. At first, I thought it was an inside. But this allows him to come up to the waist because he's supposedly going to control that, that leg there. But he loses it because John is squirrely, gets his base back. And as he's sliding away, see how he catches that foot with his own foot to pull back up to the single? And then now he's going to do the pressure on the thigh. Okay, so he'll drop the pressure on the thigh here hard. Right, and it drops John down, puts his hand on the mat, okay? And John whizzes down hard to bring him back down to the mat, starts circling away, and then Beloglazov goes to a knee pull single here because he looks like he's going to lose the move, keeps his head on the inside. Okay, now this time, when he tries to limp arm out of it, John actually gets the underhook right there. And then now that's it, because now when he pressures forward, he's pressuring into the underhook, and it's done. There's a lot that went on there. That was an awesome sequence. Now you're really going to see all the tricks that Sergei has, right? Throws a outside single. Okay. John has control of his wrist. He posts his hand on the mat. That's it. Effectively over. Just like I showed on my channel. And I'll show you that in a second here. And takes his back here. Okay. Now let's show you in slow motion, and then I'll show you what I do from that position. Okay, watch this. Outside single from space. He hasn't done this yet, right? Drops his hip. Somebody on my YouTube videos just recently told me that I don't know what I'm talking about because I dropped my fucking hip. I'm telling you guys, this is my life is me showing you good technique that the best wrestlers in the world do, and everybody trying to fucking tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Watch this. Post his hand on the mat. Now he owns it. Okay? Now it's stuck. All right? Now he steps over the foot like he's supposed to. Okay, but without that hand, it's really difficult to advance. And then I don't know what happens here, but John just gets the takedown. I don't know what happened there for him to give it to him, but it happened. That really did happen. And a great score against one of the best world wrestlers ever. Okay, again, very specific to freestyle stuff, right? Trying to lace up the legs, trying to get a gut wrench, right? Nothing that's going to help you in jiu-jitsu at all. Don't hang on a gut wrench. It doesn't have any control if the person wants to do a Granby or stand up and get out, okay? Very freestyle and Greco-specific. Most people, when they put their hand this far out, he's going to smash my hand here. Now, I've given him a whole lot more options that he didn't have. He didn't have this option before when I was here. He didn't have that option. Right? But now when I go here, if both of my knees are on the mat, this is where things start to get really bad for me. Because if he circles away from it, right? See how like my hand, how am I supposed to hold the most powerful part of his body? Right? How am I supposed to hold the most powerful part of his body with 4 fingers? But these are all options I didn't have. So when he had just the single locked in and he's doing the John Smith finish, I don't have that option. I can't headlock. I have to try to go to the shoelaces, right, and try to sprawl back and cover them with my hips. So this is the reason I teach what I teach in terms of classic fundamentals is because it works at all levels.
Puts it way out, right?
Yeah.
Always. Because I also have the one on the
I'm
arm
gonna
too.
roll right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, right, John shoots an outside single. He hasn't done that yet. And look, he tries to go to the Iranian lift. Okay, now he posts his hand exactly like I do in front of me. But look, the exact same defense that we showed, me and Alec, that's what Beloglazov is doing. But see how he's nice and low? That whizzer, ineffective. Tries to do the spin around thing, doesn't work because he stayed on the legs. And in slow-mo, right, outside single. Okay, watch, brings his base close to him. That hand was not hanging around on the mat. Notice how he never does it, right? So he doesn't hand post. When he does, it's between his, like in front of him, between his own legs. See where his hand is barely on the mat, okay? But Beloglazov goes to that same defense that Alec and I showed. I'll show you that in a second, just so you can see how what I'm showing you is the same stuff that high-level people are doing. See, now the whizzer's ineffective, see? Because he's so low. That's why I always say to stay low on the legs if you can. All right, that's a John Smith-ism, and it works well. So he tries to do that thing where everybody teaches you to spin around. It doesn't work that well when you control above the knee. Okay, it really doesn't. That's the match right there, because Beloglazov's not going to go down, not going to give him another point, but that's it. Match is over at this point. And this was a huge win for John. 1989, John's really starting to make serious headway, right? And for him to beat Beloglazov was just like, at this point of his career, was unbelievable. I mean, Beloglazov's one of the best wrestlers to ever come out of, not just Russia, it was the Soviet Union at that time, but ever from anywhere. And, you know, Smith really proved right here how good he was. Now, real quick, I just want to show you how I did the hand post off that single like John did, where he did the Iranian lift. It's not the same as posting your hand out far away when you're getting crushed on the sprawl. It's completely different, okay? And these things matter that you know the details, because when I say something online and I tell you not to do it, it's because of the thousands of times that I've seen things fail when people try to pretend like they understand what these high-level people are doing, and then they butcher the technique. It's why I've come after some people. I don't really feel that bad about it, because they shouldn't be teaching wrestling when they don't understand wrestling because they never did it. Okay, so look at this technique, and you'll see how similar it is to what John's doing.
Right? If I hand post, there's only one way I do it. It's not out here. It's when he's further over my back, here. And if I was here and I feel like I'm in pretty deep and he really commits to the sprawl, then I will post here and come here, okay, and finish this.
I want to thank everyone who supported the channel, and in particular those who actually went over to Patreon and supported me there. I'm going to leave that open, but I'm going to do most of the breakdowns here. I think on Patreon I might actually just like hold a question and answer period, like maybe once a month or something like that, like live. It's up to you guys. Just let me know what you think. But again, thanks for supporting the channel. Please like and subscribe. Please leave questions. And thanks again. See you next time.